Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel and welcome to my hand trap and side deck binder for July 2021. This binder will change over time, but for right now this is what I have for my binder. I think that it is a very nice binder, and you should definitely have a lot of these staples in your collection, at least somewhere, or at least lend them from a friend from time to time. But yeah, I would highly recommend getting all, if not, or most, if not all of these cards. Let's go ahead and get started. I guess we'll start with the first page, obviously. Maxi, Nibiru, and Phantasme. So these are kind of format dependent hand traps, especially the Maxi. It's format dependent because if it comes off the ban list, you play it. If it's not on the ban, or if it is on the ban list, you don't play it, obviously. But Nibiru, Phantasme do come in from time to time. Phantasme is more format dependent because it just depends on if there's a big Link deck in the format, like Dragon Link, like last format. But yeah, really good cards. I would highly recommend having them. Next, we have the Ghost Sister hand trap lineup. All of these cards are very, very nice. They are all first edition secret rare, so I just wanted to point that out. Cross Soul, Shiny Victories, Maximum Crisis, Flames of Destruction, Dark Neostorm, and Eternity Code. I know all the sets, and they're all first edition secret rare, so they're pretty cool. Spooky Dogwood comes in only if there's like an FTK in the format. All the other ones have a pretty good use, like a pretty good utility. Ghost Reaper just to like counter like a specific deck if you have that card in your extra deck. So it's actually not like a bad card. A lot of people aren't playing it, like at least very recently. But yeah, it's still like a really good card. I would highly recommend like at least having a playset like on hand, you know. It's definitely a really good card, but obviously the Ash and the Bells come in the most often, with maybe like Ghost Mourner and a Ghost Ogre coming in like from time to time. Both of them like being pretty occasional, but they do come in times when you definitely want like another effect Veiler type hand trap. Then our next page we have monster effect negation. So we have Imperm, Veiler, Gamma. So all of these cards are obviously to negate monster effects. The driver's under this Gamma. I just don't want to have it in the way. It can't really fit nicely within the 3 of binder. But then we have some graveyard hate. So we have DD Crow, Skullmeister, and the Alley of Justice Cycle Reader. These are German, so that's why I kind of forgot the name for a second. But yeah, really good cards. All graveyard hate. Nothing to complain about there. Next, for other hand traps, we have Lancia, D-Shifter, and Droll. So these 3 cards are basically just like Floodgates. Obviously, Lancia to stop banishing, D-Shifter to start banishing, and Droll to stop searching. So they mostly just end turns in formats that are kind of degenerate, kind of like this format. Typically, if you activate one of these hand traps, it kind of stops your opponent for the most part, depending on the deck they're playing. Then for board breaking monsters, we have basically like monster getting rid of type cards. So we have the Lava Golems, the Kaijus, and the Radions. I chose Gamma Seals and Radions because I think that they're the most generic. Gamma Seal being the lowest attack one, and then Radion being a dark, you can, put allures in your deck, and then you can try and draw into these, or, banish them with the allure if you don't need them. I think that they are the most useful. Gadarla could be a close second or third place Kaiju, because obviously the Barrier Statue Wind combo is a thing. Not so much in this format, but it does exist, which means you probably want it somewhere in your arsenal. Next, for the next page, we have back row hate, really, except for this row right here, which I'll get to in a second. But Regeki, Dark Holes, this right here is supposed to be Lightning Storms. I don't currently own them, so I just put in 3-1 of limited cards, just for the time being. But those will eventually be Lightning Storms, so this will just be generic, like, hate, I guess. And then obviously the one-ofs that are limited in the format, so we're playing one of each. Then obviously the back row removal being Twins, Cosmics, and MSTs. They all have their own certain place depending on like what kind of deck you're playing against. So I would highly recommend just having a playset of all of them. Next, we have more back row hate, I guess. Evenly Matched isn't exactly back row hate, but it does hit a lot of different stuff. Heavy Storm Duster if you're playing a trap deck in, like Paleo or something like that. I know I play that pretty often. And then Denko to stop the back row hate as well, which is pretty interesting. Then up at the top, these should be Triple Tactics Talons. For now, I just don't have them, so I would just put in like extender type cards, other limited cards, very similar to the like Scapegoat Terraforming gold sarcophagus type page, but that's what that's supposed to be. Then 3 copies of Forbidden Droplets and the Dark Ruler No More, just to, you know, stop your opponent's monsters from activating. So pretty good cards. For the next page, we have like 1-for-1 trades on monster negates. So Book of Moon, Book of Eclipse, and Mystic Mine. This basically are to force out negates. If you activate this against like a Savage, Borreload Savage, or, you know, some similar monsters to that, then they're basically forced to negate it, or their monster gets, you know, removed or dealt with in a roundabout way. So those are what those are for. Then this next page is Floodgates. So Summon, Limit, Anti-Spell, and then the Banishing ones, as well as Imperial Order for the spells. Pretty good cards. I mean, obviously you want to put in like these 4 if you're playing like a back row deck, like Frogs or like Altergeist or Guru, something like that, just to like stop hand traps, or not hand traps, but to stop, you know, your opponent from playing, basically. We have more Floodgates on this page. So Gozen Rivalry, Tikaboo. These are all pretty much the same thing, but like a different twist. I mean, being attributes, types, or different types, with Tikaboo and Rivalry being kind of similar, but not really. Then up at the other end, we have Inspector Border, D-Barrier, and DD Grounds. So pretty good cards as well. Sometimes these will just absolutely end turns, which is pretty nice. Inspector Border is pretty cool for that as well. Then these are just good generic trap cards. A lot of players will actually just like fit just these specific cards in their deck. So we have Dynamiscus. This is a really nice card to stop or to like banish something as well. Next is Ice Dragon's Prison. So, I mean, obviously it's another type of banish card that you can also set off trap tricks, similar to Dynamiscus, so it's a pretty good card. And then all of the Solemn cards, which sometimes come in, but most likely the Strikes or Judgments, just depending on the deck you're playing. Most likely Strikes in like 99% of cases. I mean, Judgments if you're playing another back row deck, but yeah. Next page, we have all of the pots and draw spells. Obviously, all of these cards have a different function. Desires, you know, drawing 2, Extravagance, drawing 2, 1 revolving with the deck, 1 revolving with the extra deck. Desire or Avarice for, you know, specific decks that like to send a lot of stuff to the grave, kind of like Zoo. Prosperity is also like insanely good. It's probably one of the most generic draw spells ever. And then Duality being very similar to that, but you know, for more control decks. And then obviously the one-ofs, Upstart, Into the Void, and Card of Demise, just for sometimes you want to play these cards, but it's very rare. But I mean, sometimes it happens. Then the last page is just my own personal take on the last like couple of cards I wanted to add to my deck. So I like to play Frogs a lot, which is why these are in here in the first place. But basically a Pointer, Dark Bribe, and Waking the Dragon all serve the same purpose, and that is to basically deter like mass removal, like Lightning Storm or Evenly Matched. You can all hit basically all of those deal with that in some roundabout way. Like if your opponent, you know, Feather Dusters you, you can Dark Bribe it, or you can Appointer before they Duster you, or you can wait, let it resolve, and, you know, just summon something off Waking the Dragon. But these are all generic cards. I think that I'm probably going to be doing like an extra deck binder at some point. I think that all of these cards are, you know, very fantastic cards. They're amazing, but if you have any suggestions on what I should put in a side deck binder, I'm going to be getting another one soon, so hopefully I'll be doing another video very similar to this. But yeah, it's pretty cool. I do have like a secondary binder that I'm going to go through really quick, but it's basically just the exact same thing. So it's very, very similar. The first page is like Macro Hate, and then, you know, just the other Ghost Girl hand traps. These are mostly the gold rare copies. Some of them are actually falling out of their place, which is kind of annoying, but happens sometimes. But yeah, just like all the gold rares, and then, you know, same thing, another set of Phantasme, another set of Nibiru, just cards that I've collected over time. Same thing with like token collectors, they come in sometimes. Mind Control wasn't in the first binder, but it's pretty interesting. Some more Kaijus, basically the same ones. More back row removal. Maybe Raigeki will come to 3 at some point, we don't know. Hatrunade's also pretty interesting. I didn't have this in my first binder, but it's pretty cool. Same thing as the last binder. I don't think Callby was in that binder, but it's pretty cool. Typhoons and Wiretaps are very old. They come up sometimes, though. If you are playing, you know, a back row versus back row matchup, you could kind of like work with it some ways. Like this is sometimes really good against like Pendulum as well, or it's really good against like Altergeist. I know I used to play it against Altergeist back in the day. Zombie World Secret Village are pretty cool, like field spell floodgates that you can play, and then more, floodgates, I guess. Royal Decrees could be really cool at some point, but not very good right now. And I have a weird pyramid kind of shape going here. I couldn't find my third rivalry. The other two, there can be only ones, but it kind of makes a cool little pattern. So we don't get mad about it. Then we have the Solemns, and my strikes that I am using are currently in a deck, so I decided to just leave that spot empty for now. But that does it for the binders, or binder, I don't know, depending on how you want to look at it, but really cool. I really enjoy them. They're literally like same cover card. It's the Dark Magician Girl, but I would highly recommend getting one of these just to organize your cards. I know personally when I first did this, it was a really big satisfactory type thing. It's just like when you're done, it's like, wow, all of these cards are very nicely, neatly organized, and it just looks really good, especially to show off to people, and give people a good idea of what they should have in their side deck collection. So yeah, that's gonna do it for the video today. Hope you guys enjoyed, and maybe I'll do one of these again in the future.